Hi, everybody. So I just got back from seeing the latest Marvel movie, The Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. And I actually went to a double header. So I saw the first Guardians of the Galaxy and then I saw the second one right after. And so it was an interesting experience being able to compare and contrast them too. And I thought I would just give you guys some of my initial thoughts on the movie. And I'm still kind of processing it, still percolating on it. And later on tonight, I'm going to be joined by my friend Trevor at How to Love Comics, and we're going to be talking about this in detail. So you'll definitely want to check out that podcast. If you've seen it'll be very spoilery. So once you've seen the movie, you'll definitely want to check that out. It's going to be a lot of fun. We talk about both the comics and the movies also. So it should be good. So anyway, I really love the first Guardians of the Galaxy. And one of the things I like about it is that it has this sense of building this team, and kind of each step along the way, you add on, a new character, and they become tighter and closer as this group. So there's this real sense of a group dynamic, and I really liked that. And I thought it was really funny that all of the banter between the group. And so some of the other weaknesses that other people mention, like the collector, not being that well developed, or maybe the Ronan being a little one note, doesn't really bother me because I liked that team so much. And it really did feel kind of like a new Star Wars for me, because that was before Force Awakens had come out. And, you kind of had Groot was your Chewbacca kind of character. And, then you just had this sort of ragtag. You had sort of Gamora was kind of a Princess Leia type character and all of that. And so it was so much fun. I really loved it. I loved all the bright colors. I loved the music. And so I was pretty excited going into this. This is in my top 3 at most anticipated for the year. I've been really trying, though, to not build up my anticipation, so I won't be as disappointed by blockbusters as I was last year. And I'm going to say it out front, this is not a horrible movie by any stretch of the imagination. It's not an awful movie, but I was kind of disappointed by it. Even with all my attempts to not be disappointed by it, I thought it was just okay. It's definitely one of my weaker Marvel movies for sure, And I'll try to explain why. So, like I said, my favorite thing about the original film was this sort of team dynamic and the way that the humor and the tension and the everything kind of built up off of them being this group. Well, my problem with the second one, the biggest problem, is that they divide up the group. And that for most of the movie, they're divided. And it's the same problem I had with the latest Fast and Furious movie. This is better than that. But it just takes some of that fun and some of the dynamic, because the problem is when you only have, say, Drax and Gamora, Drax and Star-Lord together, they have a certain type of humor, a certain kind of joke, and you get that joke over and over and over again, and then you don't see them again for a long time, and then we're back to them. Oh, we get that joke a bunch more times. And it was like that kind of with everybody. And so you would go a long time without seeing Baby Groot, or you go a long time without seeing Rocket or Gamora or whatever. And so when you did see them, it was kind of their thing. They had their sort of token joke or their token thing that they would repeat that they'd already done earlier. And it just, when you have the whole group there, it's so much more random, because you'll have a comment from Rocket, and you have a comment from Star-Lord, and it's back and forth, which makes for a much more satisfying experience, in my opinion. And that's true for the emotion as well. When you only have 2 characters there, you only have one type of emotional moment. When you have multiple characters all experiencing these things, you have lots of different responses and lots of different emotion attached. And so it felt kind of repetitive, and it just didn't draw me in. It wasn't funny enough. It wasn't emotional enough. I don't know. And I don't know. There were certain things, though, I liked. I thought that Yondu as a character was really fleshed out and kind of an interesting character. This idea of sort of him. I always like stories that are about sort of not necessarily about adoption, but about community parenting, I guess. And you actually have a little bit about that with him, and about how we can all sort of take ownership of children in our lives. You wouldn't expect that from Yondu, but that's kind of what you get. And so I liked that a lot, and I liked how we got some fleshed out nature of the group that Star-Lord had grown up in, these sort of scavengers, and their sort of rule and the way that Yondu fit into that group. And so that was good and interesting and had layers. And I thought that Baby Groot was hilarious. Loved Baby Groot. So funny. Every time. He was just the cutest thing. He didn't disappoint at all. So that was the biggest one. So Kurt Russell plays Star-Lord's father, and he's good as an actor, but I don't know. I just wasn't that in love with the story of his character and where they went with it. I don't want to give it away, but I didn't really like it that much. And I was really disappointed because so you have Nebula as a pretty major character in this movie, and I actually felt like a lot of people hated Nebula in the original film, but I actually liked her because I felt like she was sort of this in between Gamora and Ronan. She was sort of this that she was sort of a wounded character, a wounded villain, which I liked. But in this one, I thought she was kind of a huge miss. She was just kind of like, "Rrr." She was just kind of gravelly, and she just overcooks it, definitely. And I don't know, she just wasn't what I was hoping, because like I said, I really liked the character in the previous film, and in this one, I thought that she was very one note and very blah. Yeah, I mean, the soundtrack was still fun. The colors are really fun. The cinematography is really good. There are some funny jokes. Like I said, Baby Groot's really good. It's not a horrible movie, but the biggest problem for me is that they divided the group for a ton of the movie, and I think that really hurt this team dynamic that you really feel and need, or that I really liked in the original film. And so, yeah, I don't know. Like, I would rather watch Thor: The Dark World than this. And I'm just debating about, I don't know. I definitely, I mean, because Thor: The Dark World has its problems, but I love Loki and Thor in those movies. They're so good. And so I would rather watch that and the emotion behind Thor and Loki's emotion in that movie. I'd rather watch that than this. So I'm kind of a little bit disappointed, but it does have good things about it. But that's kind of my initial thoughts. I'm thinking right now I'll probably give it a C+. I don't know. Anyway, that's what I'm thinking. But we'll see. I'm going to let it percolate. I'm going to see it again, and I'll really make up my mind to do a real official review. That's just some of my initial thoughts. If you got to see it, what did you think of it? Did you like it, not like it? Where were you at on it? And check out the podcast tonight. It's going to be great. And thanks so much. Please subscribe to my channel, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.